Welcome into Locked On Phillies. In today's episode, it's your official preview from the Philadelphia Phillies perspective, of course, of the upcoming World Baseball Classic. Who's playing? What are the storylines to watch for? And how excited should you be about this opportunity and this potential danger for some Philadelphia Phillies stars? We'll break it all down on today's Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Been talking Phillies baseball for years. You know the spiel. 97.5 The Fanatic on the radio. NBC Sports Philly on the TV side. Credentialed Philadelphia Phillies media member. And happy to be here with you as your host of Locked On Phillies. I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every single day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And let's jump into the World Baseball Classic preview. I know I've been promising this for a while. And with the World Baseball Classic getting going on this Tuesday. So coming up Tuesday. It's Sunday as I'm recording this. So Tuesday, March 7th, I believe is the date. This Tuesday of this week will be the start of the World Baseball Classic. So let's start with what Philadelphia Phillies players are playing. We know there are a couple stacked rosters out there. Team USA has an awesome team with the likes of Mike Trout and Mookie Betts and some big-time stars and some of your Phillies as well. The Dominican Republic is absolutely stacked. Some great players on that team. Really a whole lot of talent for this World Baseball Classic. It's going to be a fun watch. Definitely check it out. And let's start by telling you who exactly is participating for the Philadelphia Phillies and what teams they're playing for. So starting with Team USA, JT Realmuto is going to be catching for Team USA. He'll be the starting catcher. Kyle Schwarber is going to play for them. I don't think he'll start, but he'll be an opportunity in the outfield, or an option, I should say, in the outfield for Team USA. Trea Turner is going to be the starting shortstop for Team USA, so that's really, really cool. So you got three guys to keep an eye on for Team USA. And those are probably the three highest profile players in general in the World Baseball Classic from the Philadelphia Phillies. So it'll be cool to watch JT Realmuto catch some of the top arms in the United States available. Kyle Schwarber hit some home runs for Team USA, hopefully. You get to see even more Trea Turner, and who doesn't love more Trea Turner? So that's really, really cool. A lot of fun opportunities to watch some great Phillies there for Team USA. And, of course, that's who most of us are going to be rooting for, right? You got to root for the home country. And they've got a really, really good team. So go ahead and check out those guys with Team USA. No pitchers on Team USA, which means that should be pretty stress-free. Coming up, we'll get into the storylines, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But, yes, you've got three really good players for Team USA from your Philadelphia Phillies. Gregory Soto was supposed to pitch for the Dominican Republic. He's on the roster, but because of the visa issues, it doesn't sound like he's going to be able to get those worked out. So it doesn't look like Gregory Soto would be participating. He did commit to play for them, but again, because of those continuing visa issues, doesn't look like Gregory Soto will be pitching for the Dominican Republic. Garrett Stubbs will be catching for Israel. A very cool opportunity for him. So he'll be the starting catcher there. Not a lot of major leaguers on Team Israel, so it's not as high profile as some of the other teams, but Garrett Stubbs getting an opportunity. That'll be cool to watch because I thought Garrett Stubbs was a really, really good piece as a depth piece for the Philadelphia Phillies last year. I think he's an important part of the equation this year with JT Realmuto potentially needing some more days off as he gets further on into his major league career, gets older and everything like that. The knees start to go. I don't know that that's going to happen, but Garrett Stubbs will get opportunities with this team as the backup catcher. And if JT DHs some days or plays first, it'll be Stubbs behind the dish. It'll be fun to watch him get his starting opportunities with Team Israel. Taijuan Walker is going to participate for Team Mexico, so he'll be pitching for them. So you get a chance to see one of the Phillies starters, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, both not going. And Jose Alvarado and Ranger Suarez are both going to be members of Team Venezuela and will pitch for them. So you got that going on as well. So in total, 8 Philadelphia Phillies that were scheduled to participate, 7 now with Gregory Soto not being there for the visa issue. So World Baseball Classic starts Tuesday. It'll run through March 21st. And just kind of the way it works, there's going to be 20 teams. So it starts with pool play. It's just like the World Cup a little bit. Team USA's pool is Canada, Colombia, and Great Britain. So USA should be favored to come, Canada, Colombia, Great Britain, and Mexico. So between those teams, I mean, USA is probably the favorite to come out of that pool on top. you will get to see an interesting thing right there with Taijuan Walker pitching for Team Mexico against some of his teammates on Team USA. And really, there's major leaguers all over the place in the World Baseball Classic. So it's very exciting to see that, and leads up to March 21st. So for spring training, that's going to take a backseat. The World Baseball Classic is going to be so much more exciting. These guys are playing for country. Like, they got their country on their jersey. As my keys fall out of my pocket, sorry about that, if that picked up on the microphone. It's a really cool opportunity to see some of these guys play, not at the highest level. The highest level, of course, is Major League Baseball, but this is America's version of a World Cup team that matters, right? You know, in the World Cup, how Argentina views it, how Brazil views it, how England views it, where it's just super special to see guys that they watch day in and day out play soccer, play on a world scale, and different players get to be teammates and everything like that. Well, now the USA actually has a real chance to compete. They got a really good roster, and you get to see some Phillies in a different jersey getting to take on the world's best baseball players. So that's a really cool setup, and it's going to be a really fun tournament coming up. USA has a really good chance to win it all this year, so they'll have it. There's some other guys who may be of interest that will be playing as well. Hector Neris and Gene Segura are going to be joining Gregory Soto, or would have been joining Gregory Soto, I should say, but are going to be joining him and who he would have played for. They'll be on the Dominican team. You're looking at, let's see. You remember Jojo Romero? He's going to be on Team Mexico, so you'll see him in pool play if you're watching Team USA. A lot of Canadian players. USA in a pool with Canada, and Nick Pivetta, Philippe Almont, Scott Mathiasen, and Adam Lowen are all going to be their former Phillies organization players. They're all going to be pitching for the Team Canada team in the World Baseball Classic too. So a lot of familiar names to Philadelphia Phillies fans too. There's so many cool teams in here. Japan's going to be a really interesting one with Shohei Ohtani playing for them. China, South Korea, Australia, and Czech Republic. They play in Tokyo. Chinese Taipei, Cuba, Italy, Panama, and the Netherlands are playing in Taiwan. It's such a cool tournament. If you haven't been on the World Baseball Classic in the past, it's one of the more star-studded as far as cast of players that are going to be participating across the tournament. So it'd be really, really cool to watch. Definitely check it out for those Philadelphia Phillies players. Now, coming up, we're going to talk through some of the storylines from the Phillies' perspective as to what to look for in the World Baseball Classic. I've told you who's participating and how it's happening. But from a Phillies perspective, what exactly should we be watching for, and what should we be looking out for when it comes to what's going on in the World Baseball Classic? I'll tell you about that coming up as we continue Locked On Phillies. First, let me tell you about my friends over at Built Bar, though. Built Bar is absolutely awesome. Love Built Bar. I have them in my cabinet behind me. I've always got a box in there, and they're great for getting you in great shape. Listen, beach season is right around the corner. We're into March now, guys. This is March. This is where you really start cutting down and getting in great shape for the summer months, where you're going to be wearing the T-shirts, the cutoffs, going down the shore. If you're up here in the tri-state area and everything like that, you want to be in great shape, and Built Bar can help you do that. They're made with 100% real chocolate. They got Built Bar Puffs and marshmallow infused. They got great flavors like peanut butter and churro and cookie dough and everything like that. So how does this help you get in shape? It sounds like a candy bar. Tastes like one too, but the numbers are incredible. Only 130 calories. 4 grams of sugar, 17 grams of protein. They're great for you. They're a great snack. It tastes like you're cheating on your diet, but you're not actually, because the numbers are so good for you. And you don't have to wait to order them online anymore. You can get them at your Walmart in the pharmacy section. You can get them Sam's Club, 13-bar bulk box if you want to buy them in bulk, and you should. They're so good. You're going to want 13 more of those. So go ahead and check out Built Bar. Try some new flavors that you haven't tried before. If you haven't given them a try before, trust me, take my word for it. They taste great. They work great for you. They get you in great shape. So go ahead and check out my friends over at Built Bar. All right, so what are the big storylines for the World Baseball Classic when it comes to the Philadelphia Phillies perspective? And there are some interesting ones. We're going to start with the pitchers. When you look at Ranger Suarez, when you look at Taijuan Walker, when you look at Jose Alvarado, and you see guys who are going to be throwing in the World Baseball Classic, the first thing is health. These guys had long seasons last year. Walker, not as much because he was with the Mets, and Mets got eliminated in the wild card round, which is great. Going down to the San Diego Padres, enjoyed every minute of that series. But the guys like Ranger Suarez and Jose Alvarado, they pitched more last year than they ever have in their careers. So now you're looking at a situation where short off season with the World Series run. a little bit of spring training, and then you go right into competitive pitching with the World Baseball Classic. You got to trust the managers of those respective teams, Team Venezuela and Team Mexico, when it comes to the pitchers, as far as limiting their innings, taking care of their arm, not overexerting them this early in the calendar year for baseball. But it'll also be interesting to see where they're at. So it's not just working on stuff at the spring training level down in Clearwater. You're going to get to see these guys' best stuff. See what Taijuan Walker looks like. See what Ranger Suarez looks like. See what Jose Alvarado does to follow up a really good 2022 season for him. You can see position players hit home runs in spring training, no problem. And hitting is always behind pitching when it comes to baseball. Just a little bit of baseball theory for you, right? Pitching, the strike zone doesn't move. The arms, they have to be more conditioned, but you can walk out there and Zach Wheeler can throw 98, 99, no problem. Like, that's just what he does. Hitting, the timing takes so much time to hone in. When you have an off season of not seeing live pitching or not seeing live pitching to this level, it takes a while to get back up to speed. So pitching is always ready before hitting. But that being said, you don't really see spring training pitchers exert all that much because, first off, again, it takes less time for them to get ready. And second off, people are very cautious with arms these days. We're already dealing with a situation with Andrew Painter with elbow soreness. Still haven't heard an update on that. So you don't want to lose somebody to some type of soreness or tweak or twinge or something that they've got going on with their throwing arm because of the World Baseball Classic and have them miss time of the regular baseball season in Major League Baseball. So keeping an eye on those guys' health and how many innings they throw is equally as important to how they look on the mound. But believe that they're going to be taken care of, and just keep an eye on that. So that's the biggest storyline, is health there. Position players, obviously you want them to be healthy, but there's less of a worry about position players and their health from playing in a tournament like this than there is for the pitchers. So the number 2 storyline for me is going to be watching Trea Turner. I'm telling you, I'm a huge Trea Turner guy. I've already got a Trea Turner throwback powder blue jersey. I'm so all in on Trea Turner being the best player on this team this year. And the more I can watch him play, the more exciting it is, right? Who doesn't love to see guys that are really good players that your team has, that hasn't had a chance to play meaningful baseball for your team yet, and getting to see more of what you've got in Trea Turner and the amount of money and the amount of years committed to him. He's going to be here for a long time, so you're going to see plenty of Trea Turner baseball over the next decade. But there's the saying that too much of anything isn't good, like even a good thing. No, there's no such thing as too much of watching Trea Turner play baseball. So getting to see what he does at shortstop and seeing just the caliber of player that the Philadelphia Phillies have. You always watch stars of the game like Juan Soto and Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts and Nolan Arenado and Aaron Judge and some of these top guys that play across Major League Baseball. You watch them when they play the Phillies. Maybe you'll see them on highlights, but you don't ever really watch them in depth like you do when they're a member of your team. Well, now we get to watch Trea Turner in depth. So that's something that I'm really going to be interested in. I also want to see what JT Realmuto looks like to follow up a really, really good 2022. He's kind of a sneaky pick for NL MVP for some people, looking at the opportunity he's going to have with Bryce Harper out, the amount of responsibility on him as the elder statesman of this team as you wait for Harper to come back, really, when it comes to position players, and looking at what he looks like with Team USA and getting the opportunity for him to face competitive pitching, unlike what you really see day-to-day down in Clearwater in spring training. That'll be really cool to see, too. Basically, what's JT Realmuto's follow-up to another great season in 2022, and does he look primed to have a great year in 2023? So that'll be interesting. I already talked about it a little bit, but his catcher mate, Garrett Stubbs, playing for Israel, I don't think Garrett Stubbs is ready to be like an everyday starter in Major League Baseball. I don't know that for sure. Haven't seen enough of him. But the little glimpses that we have seen say he's a pretty darn good player. And he's going to get a lot of opportunity with Team Israel to be the guy, to not have to back up JT Realmuto. And I like Garrett Stubbs as a player. I like him as a locker room guy. I think he's an important piece of this Philadelphia Phillies puzzle. So to see what you have there is going to be very interesting as well. I talked about Edmundo Sosa this week, right? And how as a backup, I think he's a super underrated player for this Phillies team. And we don't get to see as much of him because you've got a really talented infield. Garrett Stubbs is kind of like that as well. I think Edmundo Sosa is a better player than Garrett Stubbs. But maybe we see something in the World Baseball Classic and Team Israel's games that tell us, hey, maybe this Stubbs kid is better than he's getting credit for because he's overshadowed by the best catcher in baseball in JT Realmuto. So the catchers are going to be a really interesting look for the Philadelphia Phillies. And the other thing, and this is just a selfish Philadelphia sports perspective, this doesn't have anything to do with the Phillies players, but if you're rooting for Team USA, it's a real chance to win a championship. We know what the Philadelphia sports run has been with the Eagles losing the Super Bowl and the Phillies losing the World Series and the Union, our MLS team, losing in the MLS Cup. And it's just like, man, it'd be nice to see a team that you root for bring home a championship trophy. It's also that camaraderie that you have with fans of your country. Like, you're never going to get along with Mets fans. You're never going to get along with Braves fans. But getting an opportunity where you're all kind of pulling for the same team and all rooting together, coming together as a country, that's always really fun for me. You get it in the Olympics. You get it in the World Cup. And now you get a chance to get it with the World Baseball Classic, which is going to be an awesome event. So that's something that's really cool as well to look into as these games get going and everything like that. Just being a part of the community, the baseball community, and rooting for Team USA. And all of baseball Twitter is going to come together to root for Team USA. It's going to be very, very fun to see that. And hey, there'll be some people who are rooting for the Dominican Republic team, whether they're from there or whether their favorite players playing for the Dominican Republic, and like Juan Soto or Manny Machado, guys like that. So you get a chance to see that, a little bit of friendly rivalry too. It's just such a fun event to have baseball on a world stage. And it's something we don't get all that often. This isn't a yearly thing. So it's going to be nice to see that. Coming up next, I'm also going to tell you one more reason why I think you should be in on the World Baseball Classic, especially if spring training this year has felt a little weird to you and if you're more of an old school baseball fan. We'll discuss that coming up as we wrap up this episode of Locked On Phillies. All right, so this is very interesting, right? Because I was told this today. I didn't realize that the World Baseball Classic was run by Major League Baseball. I thought it was a different entity. I thought it was just kind of like an overarching how FIFA kind of runs the World Cup and the individual leagues don't have any like control over it. But baseball, Major League Baseball is the organization that's taking care of the World World Baseball Classic. And I find it very interesting. The World Baseball Classic, they're not going to be using the new pitch clock rules, the shift rules, all of these new rules being brought into Major League Baseball are not going to be in effect at the World Baseball Classic. So if you want that last taste of baseball of no pitch clock and taking time and letting the moment build and teams can shift and playing that, if that's your cup of tea, I like the rule changes. I think it's going to be a real big asset to Major League Baseball and how the game is played and the time and bringing younger fans into the game with the shorter attention spans that we have in these newer generations. But if you're in favor of the old way of doing things pre-2023, well, you're going to get one more glimpse at that in this year's World Baseball Classic too. So that's certainly a draw for people who are anti-pitch clock, anti-banning the shift, anti-bigger bases for whatever reason. That feels like a non-factor. Anti the pickoff rules and everything like that. So, and it'll also be nice for the players to get one more try at like just one more opportunity to take their time if they're on the mound, step out of the box and take their time if they're a slower working hitter, things like that. So that'll be really, really cool to go ahead and check out with the reversion back. I'm very interested to see if someone like a pitcher who's used to the Major League Baseball rules now or is getting used to it is pitching faster, like a Taijuan Walker, who normally takes a little bit of time. Will he work slower? Will he try and continue to work within the 15-second parameters of what the pitch clock would be if it was a Major League Baseball game? That'll be very interesting to me, but I know there's some folks out there that don't like the new rule changes. You get a chance in the World Baseball Classic to watch baseball the old way. So that will be very, very cool as well. I mean, it's a fun event. I really can't understand why more people aren't in on it. And I think this might be the year that the World Baseball Classic really breaks through as an exciting event that a lot of people tune into. I was having an argument today on the radio with someone over at 97.5 The Fanatic when I was doing my Sunday morning weekend hosting shift. He was trying to tell me that no one cares about the World Baseball Classic and they won't draw ratings and they're up against March Madness and all this stuff. And I get the argument about the other sports that are out there right now, but I think this is going to be a really exciting tournament. I think there are going to be some really high-level baseball games being played. And I think this is something that Team USA has a chance to win. So You got a front runner, you got an exciting product, you got some stars playing for a bunch of different teams. It's definitely worth the tune in. And if you're a Phillies fan, it's certainly worth the tune in. So go ahead and check out the World Baseball Classic coming up starting this week and running through March 21st. That's all for today's episode of Locked On Phillies. Hope that was good information for you to get you prepared for a fun little break-in spring training for some of the top players around baseball and a little bit of higher level, higher intensity type of game that we're going to get over the next couple weeks. Thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every single day. I really appreciate that once again. Now make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Baseball. It's fantasy baseball season, folks. It's right around the corner. So go ahead and check them out. You can win your league by listening to Matt and Dom every day as they bring you the best fantasy draft strategies. Find Locked On Fantasy Baseball wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. So go ahead and check out that. I'm going to get into some fantasy baseball this year. I don't normally play, so I'll be giving those guys a listen to figure out how I can win my league, and you should too. Appreciate you tuning in to Locked On Phillies. As always, make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing, checking everything out on the YouTube page. Subscribers on YouTube keep going up. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit the little bell. Go ahead and clock in on Locked On Phillies. And trust me, you're going to like getting updates all the time and get notifications when new episodes get posted. It makes your listening or viewing experience so much easier. So go ahead and do that. I really appreciate it. And thank you for listening. As always, I will talk to you next time on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.